Continuing Objective 7, number 60, the illustration below shows a three-dimensional view of a screw. And it says, which of the following best represents a front, a side, or a top view of the screw? So let's just go through the answer choices and see what we have. Choice F. We have a side view of a screw, and it all looks pretty good, except when I get to this part right here, because we should be able to see different grooves. We have different grooves on each side here, and it's not shown here. It's just showing like it's round on top. So F is not going to be correct. G looks pretty good. It would be a top view. We have our little cross in the middle, or what's known as a Phillips head. We have a circle around the Phillips head, or the cross, and we have that up here, so we're still looking pretty good. And we have edges here. So how many edges do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That looks pretty good. And then the outside circle, I think the answer is going to be G. Let's go through the other choices and see why they wouldn't be. H is not going to be correct because we have the bolt part, or the side, the part where I have the little dots here, but we don't have the round part here underneath the bolt. So that's why this one's not going to be correct. And for the last one looks a lot like G, but the difference is it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sides. So that's why J or H wouldn't be correct. So the answer is going to be G. These types of problems, you just have to take your time and look at the pictures and see what you can come up with and reason out within yourself. Make little notes, make little dots, make little lines like I have when I count, and do things like that and see what you can do. They're just logic problems. Number 9. Which of the following relationships could not be used to determine the length of segment DR as shown below? Okay, key word here being not. Okay, so let's look at A. A says DF plus FQ. DF plus FQ plus QR equals DR. Well, that one works. Let's look at B. DQ plus QR equals DR. That one works too. C, DQ plus FR equals DR. That's not right. And let's see why D wouldn't be correct. DF plus FR equals DR. So it would be correct as well. So the only one that does not work is C. Number 45. What graph best represents a line that is parallel to the graph of the equation y equals -4/5 x minus 2? And as we've discussed before, we can automatically cancel out A and D because the slopes are positive. When the line is going up from left to right, the slopes are positive. And up here, if you recall in y equals mx plus b, m is our slope. So here our slope m is equal to negative 4/5, so our slope must be negative. So now I'm going to count. Let me backtrack just a minute. We're looking for a line that's just simply parallel to this line. And if we want a line that's going to be parallel to that line, we simply just want a line that's going to have the very same slope. Because if they have the exact same slopes, they will never cross each other, meaning that they are parallel. So that means I'm really not concerned at all with this -2 over there. That's just simply my y-intercept. And all I'm looking for is which one of these graphs can represent a line that's parallel to this line. So I'm only concerned with which one of these graphs has this slope. Parallel lines have the exact same slope. So if you'll recall, when we counted slope before, we found somewhere on the line, let's start with C, or I guess we'll start with B, it comes first. Found somewhere on the line where it crosses an exact point. And it looks like, it's a little bit difficult to find one here on this one, but it looks like it's going to cross right there. We'll just pick the y-intercept at that point there. And we'll travel up the line and find the next point. I don't see one there, so I'll travel down the line to find the next point, and it looks like it's right there. So I want to count the rise over run. Remember, slope m is rise over run. So I start here and I rise 1, 2, 3, 4. So my rise is 4 over, and I'm running negative, so it's left. Negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Negative 5. And 4 over negative 5 is simply negative 4 over 5. So this looks pretty good to me. Let's check and see why this one's not going to work. Find an exact point. I'll use the y-intercept again. I'll travel up the line, finding the next available point. It looks like right there. They're all pretty close. Now I count my rise over run. I rise 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Over left, so it's going to be negative 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm not looking for negative 5 over 4. I'm looking for negative 4 over 5. So my answer is B. Real quick, if they were to ask you to find the slope of a line that is perpendicular to a line, remember we said that parallel lines have same slopes? Well, perpendicular lines have slopes that are what we call opposite reciprocals. Which means that if my original line, if my slope was 1 over 2, then the opposite reciprocal would be negative 2 over 1. Opposite meaning I changed my sign. Here it was a positive. Now the opposite is negative. Reciprocal means to flip the fraction. So my opposite reciprocal of 1/2 would be negative 2.